Okay, well, I'm Jude and I'm a business owner. My husband and I run our own business. We've been together for nearly 30 years. I have three stepsons, and then I have my own two children who are 21 and 17, and my 21-year-old daughter at the age of almost 18 announced out of the blue that she was really a boy. And that had come at the end of 3 years of her mental health not being good. So immediately I red flags. I just thought this is pretty odd, and I'd started to hear inklings of things of people who didn't identify as one sex or the other. I mean, I'd started to read and hear stuff, and there were two other girls at her drama group who were, you know, declaring they were transgender too. And so I thought, oh, that's all too convenient. Suddenly, three people in the same drama group are all trans, and I started researching, and I've spent 3.5 years reading and reading and reading and reading, and I'm now in several parent support groups with parents from all over the world. There's Australian-based groups, and then there's international groups, and all the similar-minded parents who can see that their children, teenagers, young adult children have become caught up in what is, you could call it a fad, you could call it a social contagion. It's definitely been spread because of the internet and the access to what is really misinformation on the internet. A young girl who's struggling through puberty and doesn't like her breasts will find out on the internet, well, that means you're trans. You don't like your voice, that means you're trans. You don't like being looked at by boys, that means you're trans. And that's not just me saying this. I've listened to the stories of detransitioners who are telling the stories of why they got caught up into this, what sucked them into this, how they felt as teenagers, and how they came to one think they were two, and then, with some years of maturity and getting on with their life, realised that was all a terrible mistake, and they weren't trans at all. They were just going through probable, tough times in puberty, some with mental health problems, some with histories of trauma like rape or assaults and bullying and that sort of thing. So, there's various mechanisms behind what makes these kids search for an answer to their distress. But I just thought the solution is not to immediately put these young people onto hormones. I honestly couldn't believe it, that immediately when our daughter ended up in hospital, we were just accused of being abusive parents, of being, if wouldn't you rather have a live son than a dead daughter? Um, I was told I was bigoted, that I needed to teach my family to be inclusive. We were treated absolutely appallingly by the staff at the hospital. It's something that I'll never get over, the way my husband and I were treated, because we were questioning and we were raising concerns that we did not want our daughter at 17 immediately referred to start testosterone. And the hospital staff actually falsified her discharge summary and wrote up that we agreed to the referral to the endocrinologist for hormones. And I found that out a long time later when I was subpoenaing medical records, that had actually been done. So what we've been through. Anyway, she turned 18, she put herself on the hormones and became estranged, and spent 3 years living out of home and estranged. And in that 3-year period, I connected with parents. The more I read, the more I was convinced this, not only is this a social contagion, this is going to be the biggest medical scandal in the history of modern medicine. I don't see, there's thalidomide, pelvic mesh, repressed memories, all the scandals that we've lived through, lobotomies. I don't think there's going to be a bigger scandal than this, because our medical profession have failed a really vulnerable population of young people who should have had psychiatric support, not irreversible hormones, and basically butchering their bodies. And if you want to smack me over the head and say, how dare you use such inflammatory language, I'm sorry, but if that language is what it's going to take to make people wake up and listen and realise what is going on, I would have written 30, 40 letters over the last few years to members of parliament, health ministers, state health minister, federal health minister, the prime minister, the premier, the healthcare complaints commission. I wrote letter after letter after letter after letter in reasoned language. No one, I was fobbed off, absolutely fobbed off every time. In fact, the head of our local health department pretty much insinuated that he wrote in this letter, I know you've written to all these people. And he listed all the people I had written to, and basically said that I was the one who had a mental health problem. That was the insinuation I got from his response to me, the most patronising, demeaning response. And anyway, your child's now over 18, so that it's none of your business, basically. And that's what we've lived through. Now she's back home. She regrets what she's done. She regrets taking the testosterone. The changes that it's made are not reversible. They're extremely significant changes that cannot be undone, that she will have to live with for the rest of her life, all because the medical profession have jumped on board a fad with no medical evidence to support it. Absolutely zero medical evidence to support giving troubled teenagers hormones and surgeries. And all I can say is, thank God I stopped the surgeon who was going to remove her breasts, because I stopped him